Hi guys, welcome back to Joe's RC Corner, and today we're back on the Midwest Giles, so stay tuned and we'll continue to work on it. Okay, so like I said, we're back on the Giles 202. We're going to start constructing the fuselage today, but I want to just touch base. I was going to do I was going to be modifying this to have a plug-in wing with the wing tube. Unfortunately, after studying the plans and doing some thinking in my head, I don't think I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to keep this a little bit on the simpler side, and we're just going to go ahead and continue building it as it states in the plans. It's still going to fly great, still going to look beautiful. I'm just going to need to make sure I have enough room in the back of my car for the wing, though. Now, the wing is only 72 inches, so it's not a huge wing, so it should be okay. It should still fit in my car. But we're going to go ahead and keep moving here. I know some of you are probably going to be disappointed in the fact that I'm not doing the plug-in wing, but after, like I said, looking at the plans here and seeing how the wing pieces together, it's going to make it very difficult to do that. So we're just going to move forward with the way the book says. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump in here and start placing, following the instructions here and start laying out the fuselage sides. So that way we can get them mounted. I'm going to do most of this in the time lapse, but I will come back to you once I get big milestone parts done and show you with the camera how those look. So stay tuned and enjoy the show. All right, guys, while we're waiting for the glue to dry here on the Giles, I want to take a quick break here, and I want to thank Jerry from RC Taildraggin. He sent me this kit to build on the channel. I want to thank you, sir, from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate you donating this kit to me. It is a Goldberg Gentle Lady, and we're going to electrify this aircraft, and we're going to do some modifications to the wing as well for a bolt-on wing opposed to using the single rubber band in the middle. But I'm going to build this for my dad. He doesn't have a glider right now, but I think he'll really enjoy this. And he already stopped by today and took a look at it. He's really happy with the kit. It looks like it's brand new in the box. So again, Jerry, really do appreciate it. And all my subscribers, take a look at Jerry's channel on RC Taildraggin, and I'll put the link in the description for it. So again, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And we'll be building this plane after the Giles is done. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed the time lapse here of the build part. This is as far as I'm going right now with it. I want to let some of this wood glue dry. So I went back and I went through all the joints, and I went ahead and added a little bit of wood glue to all of them. So that way it creates a nice fillet on all of the points of the where the two pieces of wood meet up. I also put some weight down on it to make sure that it stays flat while it dries. And then what we'll do on the next steps, let me take a look at the book here and we'll see what we have to do next. So the next steps are going to be adding the top pieces to these all these sections here. And then we need to start bending this part in once we get the firewall in place. So we'll do that tomorrow after we let this dry overnight. So once this dries overnight, we'll go back and we'll take a look at it and see what we need to do next on it, which would be putting these cap pieces in place and closing up, boxing up the fuselage here. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry overnight, and then we'll be back on it tomorrow, guys. See you later. Okay, guys, so welcome back. Hope you've been enjoying the time lapse here on the build. I'm going to call it for today. This is going to be the last update for today's video. Tomorrow we might get back on it a little bit more. Try to do a little bit more of the front section here with the firewall. So basically we have all the stringers now glued in place. I had to do a slight modification back here because it said there was supposed to be 3 notches for it to go all the way back here, but there's no way that these extra 2 stringers here were going to go all the way to that point as well. So we stopped it here. I modified this one to get that final point right here, and I'll take some pictures of that so you guys can see. So right in this point right there, I now have it doubled. Now I'm going to be using this tail wheel assembly here. And I need to get the pivot point of the wheel right over where the rudder pivot point is. So I'm going to have to put a hardwood piece right here, and that's going to have to also be joined all the way down to the flat main structure of the fuselage here, because these stringers are not going to be strong enough to support the tail wheel. So I'm going to have to take a look at that and figure out how I'm going to mount that area. And the firewall is right here. And that is now all clamped together with some wood glue. I'm letting that cure overnight, so that'll be ready to go ahead and put in place up in the front here. And then I can get these front sections bent around the fuselage side. So we'll let that go ahead and dry overnight. We're going to leave the wing mounting block clamped here to let that dry overnight as well, because I use the Gorilla Glue, which takes 24 hours for it to fully cure. So we'll leave that the way it is. I have a few more clamps over here for this piece just to hold it in place. But other than that, everything is straight and clamped. And we'll work on the firewall assembly later tomorrow. We'll let the rest of this wood glue also dry to make sure all these joints are nice and bonded tight. And then we'll be able to start working on this front section here of the fuselage and getting that all completed. And then we can pull it off of the plans so that we can start working on the top side, getting the rest of that all taken care of. And then we can start trying to figure out how, where we're going to lay things out in the fuselage for weight and balance. And then we can start working on the wing afterwards. So, but that's a couple videos down the road for the wing portion. But we're going to go ahead and continue on here tomorrow. and see how far we can get this weekend. So that's all for now, and we'll see you tomorrow, guys. See you in the morning. Okay, guys, so this is the second day of the weekend where I've tried to get as much done as I can in regards to the fuselage part here. So as you can see, it's mostly framed up. It's perfectly straight. I checked everything against the plans, and it's looking pretty good. So as we've been following along on that time lapse, you'll see there was a lot of work involved in getting this framed up. I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't do with the plug-in wing. There was going to be a lot of pieces here I was going to have to fill in. I may look at it still, because even with it completed, it is still possible to close that up and make that a plug-in fuse, but the problem would be now is this top part is no longer a hatch. I would have had to cut all this open again so I'd be able to get inside. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue with a bolt-on wing for this. It's going to fly great. It's going to look beautiful still, so I'm really happy with how this is coming out. There are a couple things that I'm going to have to make some changes on. Not really full modifications, but definitely something to look at. So right now we got the stringers on up in the front here, and then I got to get the veneer right here. It's going to be wet. I got to get some ammonia on it, and you line it up on the edge, and then you wrap it around and glue that in place on the other side, get it nice and flat. So I'm going to have to get some ammonia and get that nicely curved around. So that'll be the front turtle deck there. And then of course the rear turtle deck will be the same thing. Get a straight edge. I've got to cut the angles in it the way they want you to do it first. You mount it on one side and then wrap it around. So that'll be nice and strong on the back end. But here, look at the front. We have the cowl here. This is the Fiberglass Specialties cowl for this aircraft. And as you can see, this meets up with this perfectly and looks really nice. So we'll get this lined up, mounted. Got to get the engine box in there next. It's one of the next things I got to do. Yeah, this is going to be a nice airplane, guys. I'm really looking forward to getting this baby in the air. But yeah, so I'm going to let some of the filler that I got on the where the formers poke through. Got the filler on there to let that dry. The other thing I got sitting off to the side as well is right here. I got the this would be the motor mount. I got it glued together and clamped. Make sure that it stays nice and strong and well seated together. And I'm going to grab this other clamp here and tighten this one spot here. I don't want any of this to pull apart while it's drying here, so I want to make sure I get this clamp on here now before it dries. Get that squeezed in nice and tight. Everything else looks really good. May have to break it away from the wood that I have on this clamp here, but that should be fine, not a big deal. But yeah, so it's looking really good. I'm really happy with how it's coming out. We're going to work on the top turtle decks next weekend, and the engine box. Since the motor mount should be cured by then, fully dried, we'll be ready to go ahead and start getting the engine mounted to the firewall and figuring out how that's going to mount together. There we go. Got those last two corners there tightened in. So we'll let that set aside, let that dry over the weekend, over the rest of the weekend here. They should be ready to go. Got the engine boxes. These are the outside walls of the engine box here. Got those all clamped together. Got the wood glue on there. Hold those together right nice in regards to making them one piece here. So that's going to work out great here. Second engine box over on this side here. And then we'll get that all mounted in the, get the engine mounted to the firewall first. Going with the 35 RE, it's the rear exhaust. It'll fit beautifully up in the front on that engine box. Got to get a new spinner for this though. I need a 3.5 inch. I don't have one here. And also, oh yeah, I already got the landing gear mounts all set, ready to go. So landing gear bolts are already in, blind nuts are already in place, already glued in, and that'll go right up in here, in front. Now I do need to figure out how I'm going to do the tail wheel assembly still. That part hasn't really gotten to that yet, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Just got to add some more wood to the tail where the stringers go, and that'll clean that up and close that all up. So other than that, guys, that's all I got for this weekend. Hope you guys built some airplanes, went out flying, and got some RC done. And thank you for your support. I appreciate it. And see you on the next one. Make sure you keep building and you keep flying, guys. See you on the next video. Bye.